Hello, SPED 2010 students. Welcome to Intro to Special Education. I hope everyone is having a great first week of classes. My name is Misty Hayes, and I'm going to be your instructor. So this Intro to Special Education course features what we call a high impact practice assignment called service learning. And service learning is really a blend of academic study and community service. So in this course, you are required to complete 12 hours of service learning in an approved school system or an approved site. And you have to complete these 12 hours in order to pass this course. So I wanted to kind of walk you through a little bit of the requirements to get you started. I wanted to show you where to find the information about service learning and what you need to be doing. So if you are in our course and you click on course information and select content, it's going to take you to the table of contents. And underneath, read this first, you're going to see course projects, and under that is service learning. That is how you will get to the service learning module that tells you everything that you need to know about service learning. Now, we do want you to think about where you would like to be placed. We have a lot of MOUs in place right now, and I listed the schools and school system and sites that we currently have available that are approved with MOUs here for you. So think about where you live and if there's somewhere on here that you would like to go or be interested in going. There is plenty of counties and school districts, and like I mentioned, we have some sites as well that are outside the school system. So thinking about like if you were early childhood, we have a few of those as well as some school districts that you might be interested in. You will, in the process we'll talk about in just a few minutes, you will be having to complete some service learning documents before you can get approved to begin your hours. And one of those is an application where you will be listing your choice of where you would like to be. So when you're thinking about your choice, you will be looking at the schools listed here and the sites that we have listed because these are the ones we currently have an MOU in place with. One thing that I did want to note is that the Jefferson County and Sevier County schools will require you to have additional approval. So if that is an area, say Jefferson County Schools or Sevier, and you want to be placed at one of their schools, we have to have additional approval by central office personnel before you can just be placed there. So that might require just a little bit more time. One of the things I also wanted to note is that we have a service learning coordinator who is in charge of placing students. So she will make sure everything goes through and gives us the okay, and then we will communicate when you will get the green light and start. So you will not be able to get the green light and start until I let you know when that is and everything is okay and approved and everything is ready for you to begin your hours. So another school system, or two school systems, is Claiborne and Hawkins County. They also require contact from central office before they can place you at the school you choose, and sometimes they may even want to place you themselves. So this is something to keep in mind as you're thinking about where you want to go and filling out your application. So please remember that when you're putting your preferred site or the school system that you want to be placed at, please understand that this is a request. That doesn't always mean that you will get placed at your first choice or second choice. We will do our best to get you there, but we also know that there is protocol and guidelines that we have to follow with these school districts and sites for placement. So just keep that in mind. Douglas Cherokee Economic Authority, they do require students to have an additional TBI background check. So another one as well as Claiborne County Schools. So even if you do hours through TBI, you will have to have an additional one for them as well. So just keep this in mind as you're filling out your paperwork and trying to get you placed. You are welcome, like I said, to list any specific request schools that you would like, but keep in mind, again, this is just a request. We have lots of students to place, and there are many school systems and sites, so it's not possible for the service learning coordinator to place you at all the requests that we get, so just keep this in mind. Now, there are documents that you will have to be submitting to us, and I will show you how to get there and where to go, because you will not be placing those items in our course. We actually have a team set up for you by the service learning coordinator, and that is where you will be putting your documents. So if you scroll down a little bit more, there's more information again there about the approved sites that we have MOUs and school systems that we have MOUs in place with. So please make sure you read over that. You will have to complete the due date. So for these approved documents that go through, or the documents that you're submitting in teams, they have due dates. Please make sure that you pay attention to the due dates. They're listed in the course, but this just helps things go smoothly so there's not hold up when we're trying to place students. So keep this in mind as well, to abide by the due dates listed for you. Now, before you can begin your hours, in addition to your application, which is the first thing you will be submitting to your teams, is that you will have to fill out some forms, some documentation. So you've got your application, and it's all listed here underneath before you begin your service learning. You have your application, what we call VEX form, acknowledgement of risk form. You will have to you will have to provide proof of liability insurance, meaning you provide proof that you purchase insurance liability for yourself. Now, we do have two options for liability. We have what we call Aon, which can be purchased for $13 through the Water State Cashier's Office, or you can purchase an NEA membership, which costs a little more. But one thing that I try to encourage students to think about is if you're going to have other classes where you will be participating in service learning, it might pay for you to get the NEA membership, because the Aon is only good for 2 academic semesters, where you may get more out of the NEA membership. So just keep that in mind. You will have to have a TBI background check. Those results, we have to make sure that that is all taken care of and that you've had it. And then you have a form that we call a service learning referral confirmation form that you will be taken to the administrator or the site of your choice, and that will have to be completed by the teacher that you're placed with, as well as the principal or the site director, showing that they do agree to have you. These are the dates and that you agree upon, and that they're okay with you being there. So that also has to be submitted. For one thing to remember, you are not allowed to start any hours before you get the green light from me. If you start any hours and you do not have permission from me, your instructor, those hours will not count toward your 12 hours of service learning, so please keep that in mind. Now, in addition to completing all the required document and paperwork that you have, you will be having 2 written assignments that will be submitted to our actual course as part of this high impact practice. The 2 things that you will be completing is what we call a journal and then a written document analysis. So the journal is something that you will use to reflect upon your experience for the time that you're there doing your service learning. So every time that you go into your placement or your site, you will be writing about your reflection. You will be thinking about how it went. I have guiding questions for you that will help you with this, but you will be keeping a journal. You also have a log that the teacher you're placed with will be initialing that you were there, and these are the days and times, and they will also complete an evaluation about how you did during your time there. You will also be doing the service learning written document analysis. So this is your paper. This is how it went overall, and I have questions for you that's going to help you, and you're going to use your journal to help you write the written document analysis as well. So those are the two things that have to be submitted. Now, if you scroll down some more, this is the paperwork that I said that you will be submitting to teams, right? So you have your service learning application, your acknowledgement of risk, your VEX form, your proof of liability insurance, your TBI background check, and your service learning referral form. So in order for you to be able to submit these documents, you have to have a place where the service learning coordinator can see it. So since she can't have access to our class, everything has to go in what we call Teams, like Microsoft Teams. So what we have here is a Teams code for service learning that you will be using to get into Teams and join it. So that join code will allow you to join the Teams notebook and submit your documents. One thing I also want to note in this section that says pre-service learning application, background check, referral form, and closing documents, this is the section that tells you about all the documents that you need to make sure that you have and completed and submitted to Teams. We do have a service learning timeline and checklist for you, and that just makes sure that you're keeping up and making sure you check the list off that you've submitted all these things to Teams and have everything ready to go. If you're not familiar with how to join Teams, there's actually a join team code here, and that will allow you to look and watch how do you join with the code we provided and how do you submit your items there. So I highly suggest you watch it, and if you need help, I'm more than welcome, just reach out. But the video there is very useful when you're joining a Teams code with the code for the first time if you've never done it. There's also a video that helps you if you're unfamiliar with actually putting a document into Teams. And when we say Teams, we're talking about your one notebook. So this is where you will have a notebook with your name that the service learning coordinator can click on and see all the documents you provided. There's a certain way you will upload them, and this video walks you through how you will submit those documents to Teams. So those two things that I was talking about, that the person that's above you or that will be kind of your mentor teacher, if you will be completing what we call closing documents. There's a link here for you. They will need to be submitted as well and returned to me. So the way that we do the closing documents, and I'll send a reminder about this when it's later on as we get past this first part of completing our paperwork, but they will have to submit a log for the hours and initial that you were there, and you will initial it as well. And then they will also have to do an evaluation on you. And those things have to be submitted a little bit different. Those will not go in Teams, and they will also not be put into our Dropbox in our course. They either have to be mailed to me, to our school, or they can be emailed to me as well, or if they want to fax it over. But if I've had in the past students drop it off, I will accept drop-offs of these documents, but they have to be sealed. Okay, so that's the thing that I want you to keep in mind. You cannot just hand the papers to me. I mean, it has to be sealed, or it has to be mailed or emailed to me is fine as well. And I will get that information so you'll know what they need to do. And this needs to be mentioned to the mentor teacher so they'll know what's expected as well. So if you scroll down, you're going to see all the lists. You have your checklist and timetable that kind of walks you through the times and what you need to do first, second, third, so on. Again, there is a Word document showing you how to upload your documents, these documents here, into your one notebook in Teams. So that's very useful. So it's more than one place for you. And then these are the documents we said that you need to be filling out. You need to fill out your VEX waiver, your service learning application. You will fill that out. You will fill out your service learning release hold harmless, your TBI fingerprinting and background check also will need to be submitted. Liability insurance options, that has to be submitted. Now, underneath liability insurance options, you're going to see Aon insurance. This Aon insurance is that one that you can purchase through the Water State Cashier's Office for $13. Here is the service learning referral confirmation that the principal and teacher or the site director and the mentor teacher with will have to complete, giving the okay and sign that they welcome you into their site and that it's okay for you to be there and complete your 12 hours. And then these are the closing documents that we talked about that the mentor teacher that you're placed with, will be filling out and submitting on your behalf. Underneath it are the 2 written assignments that you will submit into the course, which is the journal and then your paper. So I want to kind of scroll back up and talk about a couple things. Some of these documents are electronic, so that means if you are to click on them, you will fill them out by typing in them and saving as a PDF. They are PDF already, so do not turn them into a Word document. But some of them you can type in, some of them will have to be printed out and signed, so just be aware of that as well. So with the liability insurance options, I wanted to show you where it shows you have the NEA as well as the Aon as your 2 options to choose from. And again, that goes back to if you're going to be completing multiple service learning, you may think about the STA NEA membership. But those are the 2 there that you can choose from. If you are at a different campus than Morristown and you want to purchase the Aon insurance, you could just call the cashier's office. I'm pretty sure in the past they've done it over the phone, so you don't have to make a special trip to the Morristown campus, so just keep that in mind, but I would call the cashier's office to check. The other thing I want to talk about is what we call the TBI fingerprinting and background check. In this document, you could do this by either calling or clicking on the link. Please follow these instructions when you are trying to schedule your background check. If you do not put the Water State, so there is an ORI number that is associated with Water State Community College. It's important for when you enter that ORI number that you put this exact code exactly like it's written here and type it in that exact way, because whenever you do your background check, it's going to put you in the system when you get the results back, and our assistant dean will be allowed to go in and look at that, and she can see the results. I cannot, but she can. But if you don't put this code in there, then where are your results going to go? We won't be able to pull it from the system, or she won't be able to pull it from the system. So please make sure that you enter this code correctly. And it shows you what to choose, what to click on. It walks you through it. So you may want to have this pulled up when you click and open this in a new window. And you can also call to schedule it. There are lots of different sites that do the Identigo, which is where you will get your TBI background check and your fingerprinting done. So you would just choose the one that's closest to where you live is what I would suggest, and the time that works best for you. But if you have any questions about the TBI background check, please let me know. One thing I did want to note, when you do go with you will have to pay for this. This is not something that's covered for you. This is an additional cost, just like the liability insurance. It's a requirement. If you don't do it, you can't do your 12 hours. And if you don't have your 12 hours, you don't pass the course. So make sure that you take money with you, because you usually pay the day that you get it done, and then you will have to have a valid ID. So it could be your driver's license or state ID. You will have to have that with you when you go get fingerprinted. So please keep that in mind. If you have had a TBI background check, say for another class that you did back in the spring, please email me and let me know so we can check on that. I've already had a couple people do that. So please let me know, email me, call me, and we'll look that up and see if it's still good. Now, we will accept TBI background checks if they can't be older than 2 years old, right? So if it's been over 2 years, we will not accept it. You'll have to do another one. If you had to have a background check for employment, say you already work at a daycare center or you work at a school system as a sub or a teaching assistant, and you've had a background check within the last 2 years, I need you to also contact me because I will have to have your employer fill out a form. And it's not listed in the class. So I do need you to contact me if you work somewhere and had to have that done. Now, remember, this can only be if you work for school systems or daycare or something of that sort. I'm not talking about if you had to have it for something different than a school system. But make sure you contact me as well, and we'll check on that. So that's all I have for now. It's overwhelming. I do want to show you, if you scroll down a little bit more, you have service learning written assignments. Even though it's a little overwhelming and there's a lot of information, please ask questions. I will help you, walk you through this. Just the first thing I want you to do is to read through everything. There's a lot of information in here. Be thinking about where you want to be placed, and completing all start getting started on the liability insurance, completing your VEX form, your application, those sorts of information pieces that have to be submitted. I did want to show you before you start filling too much out, I did want you to read the service learning description and manual. So it would serve you well to read the entire module that says service learning because it's important for you to know what's expected of you when you go into the classroom. What's expected of the mentor teacher you're with? How are they going to help you? Both sides need to make sure they are aware of the expectations. And all of that is in here, so please read through it and ask questions if you're unfamiliar or you don't know what's going on or you don't know how to submit something. We're here to help you. I know it's a little bit different with an online class. You can't just come ask me questions. So in class when we're going through this. So that's why I say reach out. You can call my office. We could have a Teams meeting. You can come in person. I'm here to help support you so we can make sure we can get you placed as soon as possible. All right, I hope that this video was helpful. And again, you may reach out if you need anything. All right, guys, I look forward to working with this semester. Until next time.